So one thing I was going to show you, let me just play a little like chord progression. Well, it's kind of weird, but whatever. So what I'm going to do now, after you play what you're going to play for your song, one thing you can do is you can pull this, you can expand this by clicking and making it bigger. There are two ways for you to edit the notes, because something you're going to do is you're going to want to snap them to the grid and make them, to timeline them essentially. So a fast way to do that is you could just go into the MIDI roll here, the MIDI editor.
Is there a hotkey for the MIDI for the piano roll?
Yes, it is. Well, the fastest way is just to double click the clip, but then there's also,
Just double click. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, but I'm like blanking right now. What is it? It's,
well, I mean, that's fast enough.
yeah, but there is a hotkey though.
Okay.
Clip.
It was Command D in Logic. I remember that.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm blanking on this right now. It's transport clip.
This is like your fourth call of the day.
yeah, probably. Maybe that's what it is.
That'll do
it. Gosh, what is it? Setup. Oh, window. Gosh, there we go. MIDI editor. So you get a window, and you can see a lot of the hotkeys in here. It'll show you right there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be Option M. Boom. There we go. So Option M. I believe it's, unless I set that manually, but it'll have something there for you to see. So I could do that, go in there, and I can adjust the notes there. I can just highlight all of them. You got to make sure you're in grid mode right there. Then you can drag them. Then I'm just going to drag it to the one like that. And this, I can move there. But there's a faster way. Before I show you the faster way, though, another thing you could do is you could go here to clips and change this to notes. And now you can adjust all the notes on your timeline right there too. And you can just make this big like that. I don't really like this way though. It's kind of hard to see still. I don't know. Some people like it. You can adjust stuff literally right there if you wanted to. I could just move the notes around there. Yeah, but I will just go here. And what I want to do is I want to timeline everything quickly. I'm going to undo. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to Command A to highlight everything. And then I'm going to hit Option 0 right here. So Option 0, another thing to do, this is the Quantize button. Another thing is you can go up here on your timeline now. Pro Tools just added this. We could go here and click that and pull it up that way. That's what this tool is here. For some reason I have to go, I have to pull up this window. Let's make this a little bigger. And then I'm going to have to highlight everything. And then I'm just going to hit apply to quantize everything. And that's going to snap all the notes closest to the 16th note right there because I have that selected. Or I could choose to snap everything closest to the 8th note instead, or closest to the quarter note. Mm-hmm. And to see more clearly, if you want to snap everything to the quarter notes, for example, I would change that in the grid as well, just to more easily see what you're doing. So you could just go click here on the grid, quarter notes, and now you see exactly where the quarter notes are, if that makes sense. I like kind of working within like eighth notes typically, or 16th notes. For piano, usually eighth notes are good to work with. It just works, like, unless you're playing something really insane, like some Bach, Beethoven, or something with like really like a lot of notes happening really
Some
quickly.
embellishments. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of embellishments, exactly. But typically, like eighth notes, I'll change there. I'm going to highlight everything again, Command A, and then I'm going to hit apply. And you can also go to here, what to quantize. We're just going to leave all that how it is. I guess the only other thing that could be helpful is you could add some, you can make it looser when you snap it. So like if you hit strength and you change this to 80% and then hit apply, then now it's 80% snapped. Does that make sense?
What is the strength? 80% of what?
80% in terms of correctness. So it's eight or like,
Oh, so it makes it sound more human.
yeah, exactly. Now it's more, if I uncheck this, for example, I didn't mess with the strength at all. I just hit apply. It just snapped it perfectly to the grid. Like 100, it's 100% snapped to the grid, as exact as it gets. I'm gonna have to just move some things around still and double check it because it's not perfect.
Yeah, you probably always want to double check it after you snap it, right? Just in case something went to the wrong, snap to the
Exactly.
wrong spot.
Yeah, you want to always double check. For MIDI, typically, I mean, I just keep the strength at 100%. Then you can modify that later on if you need to. Notice this note here. So it's quantized. Next thing, we're going to make some other adjustments. You can change velocity by clicking down here on the velocity timeline. I can highlight that note. And now the velocity is louder. You can also highlight all the notes from there, and you can like raise the velocity if you wanted to. Or you could drag it all down if you want to mimic, if you want to just like, have you playing softer. If you were like, oh, I meant to play softer, you could just change that in MIDI. So now it's more gentle. Right. But yeah, a lot of this functions the same way as you'd see in Logic. So this probably looks more familiar. I don't know if you work with a lot of MIDI in Logic, but
Yeah, I did. And
okay.
yeah,
So
it looks the velocity looks the most different,
okay,
but the
yeah,
rest of it, the piano roll looks familiar.
and you can also, another useful thing is if you go to the velocity section or timeline, you can go to controllers and then sustain pedal, and that's
Oh,
how
I
you.
do have a sustain pedal as well, like an
Okay,
actual one.
so I did too. I just didn't play it, but whenever you're using your sustain pedal, it'll show you like where you're lifting off on your sustain, where like how you're using your sustain pedal. So you could like actually adjust where you lift off and then reconnect your sustain in post. You could like fix that, which is kind of cool
Yeah,
and
I mean
helpful.
MIDI is like it's all
So
digital, so everything can be edited. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
exactly. It's like super useful to do. And yeah, I love MIDI. And if I didn't like that note or chord, I could just. I think I meant to play that chord. But yeah, you can just like play around with it that way, move things around. If you're like, you wanted to move everything around quickly, or like let's say you played that progression and you're good with it, I would trim the ends and beginning. Think of this as like one progression that you're going to copy paste. To do that easily, you know, go back to bars. We're going to cut that at the end. I'm using the S key to cut the end of a clip.
Mm-hmm.
Then the A key to cut the other side of it. So A and S is to trim. Those are the trim hotkeys. A, S, right there.
That actually brings up a good question. So
yeah.
Let's say I've recorded the piano part for the verse. I really like that take. Can I just copy and paste that into the second verse if it's the same exact thing, or does it make sense to do it twice?
With MIDI and like piano accompaniment and stuff like that, I don't think it's worth it to go through unless you're really meticulous. Like I would just copy paste it, honestly, to save you time.
If it's MIDI?
Yeah, if it's like MIDI or even like a live piano take. Like if you really are happy with the take and you don't need that humanness being shown right there, especially if it's like a background instrument,
Mm-hmm.
I copy paste a lot. So like,
Okay.
for example, if we wanted to reuse this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 8 bars.
Yeah, it looks like like that. It's trimmed nicely. It's got a good take. Like, why not copy and paste? But if it's vocals, like, that's different.
Vocals would be different, but typically you can just copy paste. So let's do it now. We'll just do, what I did is I just press Command D to duplicate it, and it'll just like fly it to the right of it, to the right of the track that you duplicate. That's one way to do it. Or you can just option click, just a good old fashioned option click, drag like that. I typically just option click drag stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then there we go. Now we have
16 bars.
We have 16 bars of this take.
16 bars, about 16 colors.
And then another thing that you can do, because we're working with piano and bass, right? Another thing that I like to do is, to make our lives easier, you can literally just drag this up into the bass timeline. And then we're going to go in here. Just a really easy tip. And we're just going to delete all the information up here except for the bass line.
Got it.
And you're going to have to obviously adjust some things. Like this is way too high. So we'll find that's a G note. So we'll drag this down to the other G, the lower octave G. And then if I click and highlight these two, I can adjust the notes, the tails simultaneously like that. You can do that for anything you are highlighting. You know, if I highlight everything, I could adjust the length like that. And so let's listen to this now. Let's see if this works.
Sounds like that. Also sounds like the closing music after someone gets voted off of the show.
It really does. Like,
why did
I play something so depressing? Of anything I could have played. So now we can throw in the compressors again. Let's turn that on. And this is a pretty good volume. We talked about like minus 20, I think, is like a good input gain level. Something. And you can tell where minus 20 is by the light green. So it's just hitting the light green there. We can see a lot easier though here. It's hitting like right around minus 20 there. And then I'm gonna just adjust this to taste into my ear. I'm on the bass right now. And now I'm gonna take the peak reduction knob and I'm gonna pull this back. until I'm hitting like minus 3 dB. That's too much. So I want to compress like minus 3 on the instruments. So now I'm compressing minus 3. You can also see the compressor is working right here. You see the orange coloring. That's the compression meter. That'll also show you how much is being compressed, because like these are the the numbers on the side there. That shows you the dBs. That's 5, 10, 15. So it's also showing you, it's compressing like minus 3 on the bass. Now let's go to the piano really quick. Same exact thing. I'm going to set the level on the input gain to where it's like minus 20 on the fader. So I'll pull this back now. I'm just looking visually to where it's hitting like minus 20 right there. And you want to always adjust the input gain first, and then we're going to adjust the reduction level, or the reduction knob. Let's pull this. Let's increase the peak reduction a little more. Oops. Oh, it's too much. There we go. That should be good. So let's go here. I'm going to level everything. We'll do like minus 6 on the piano. We could solo this. So we could like raise the bass a little bit. There we go. So really quick way that I would set everything. I like just, let me pull back the Muse screen. Oh, there we go. I see you now. All right. So yeah, oops, where was I? I could add reverb a little more. And now the piano's a little hot actually still, so I'm gonna pull this back a little bit more like that. There we go. And anytime you mess with the input gain, you're gonna have to mess with the peak reduction knob again. So it's like a little dance. There we go. So it's reducing like minus 3. And it's hitting harder there, but it's just because my velocity might not also be super even. So I could go back here even, look at the velocity. And yeah, like I could even out the velocities if I wanted. I could just reduce the ones that are kind of hot, like a higher velocity, because you want the velocities for the bass to be kind of even too, and not kind of all over the place.